and welcome to Teaching for Success Parent Engagement Series. I'm your host, Rosa Kemerembe, and today's episode is a critical one: the mental health crisis in young people in Uganda. Did you know that mental health challenges among young people are on the rise in Uganda? According to the World Health Organization, Uganda's suicide rate is about 4% of the general population. This accounts for just over 2 million people annually. But what's even more alarming is that many of these cases involve young people in primary and secondary schools. In an article published by the Monitor newspaper on March the 3rd of this year, 2025, the government of Uganda raised a red flag on the rising cases of mental illness and stress in schools. It emphasized in the article that mental health is a real issue, that if not addressed, it will have far-reaching impact on the future of our young generation. It also stressed the urgent need for counselors, therapists, and psychologists in support of our children in school. But before we delve deeper into this crisis, let's first understand the basics. What is mental health, and how is it different from mental illness? Mental health refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. Good mental health allows us to handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. On the other hand, mental illness refers to conditions that affect a person's thinking, mood, or behavior, such as depression, anxiety, or bipolar disorder. The symptoms of mental illness can vary, but often include feelings of sadness or hopelessness, extreme mood changes, withdrawal from friends and activities, difficulty concentrating, and changes in eating or sleeping patterns. In severe cases, it can lead to thoughts of self-harm or even suicide. Ignoring these signs can be detrimental. Again, I repeat, ignoring these signs can be detrimental. Mental health challenges don't just go away. They don't disappear when a parent tells a child to just snap out of it. It doesn't go away. If left unaddressed, and if a child is made to feel that the only solution they have to their anxiety and depression is to stuff it in themselves, to hide it, to not talk about it, to snap out of it according to their parents or teachers, this can escalate into a full-blown crisis at some point, which will not only affect this individual child, but also their families and maybe even their community. Now let's talk about this situation in Uganda. Mental health among young people is a growing concern, and it's not a joke. And the numbers are staggering, so we need to start taking this seriously. According to a 2023 report by the Ministry of Health, approximately 14% of Ugandan adolescents experience significant mental health challenges, with depression and anxiety being the most common. But why is this happening? Let's break it down. First, there's the academic pressure. In Uganda, students face immense pressure to perform well in exams. It's okay to perform well in exams. It's okay to work hard. But sometimes the pressure that students feel is overwhelming and unhealthy for their emotional well-being. The emphasis on grades and the fear of failure can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression. For many students, this pressure starts as early as primary school. Secondly, there is the lack of awareness and stigma surrounding mental health. Many people in Uganda still view mental illness as a sign of weakness. They label people as mad. Some people say it's a curse. This stigma prevents young people from seeking help. Some people even think kids are making it up, that it's not serious, that it's just a fad. But this is not the case. These stigmas prevent young people from seeking help that they need, and it discourages families from addressing the issues properly and effectively. Thirdly, there is the impact of poverty. Many young people in Uganda come from low-income families, and the stress of financial instability can take its toll on their mental health. Some students are forced to drop out of school to support their families, while others face abuse at home or neglect. And finally, there's the lack of resources. Uganda has very few mental health professionals. And in schools, mental health services are almost non-existent. Most schools don't have counselors or psychologists or psychometrists, and teachers often lack the training to be able to identify and support students struggling with mental health issues, as well as parents. This is where organizations like Teaching for Success are stepping in, raising awareness, and working tirelessly to make teachers and parents understand, or to help them rather, not to make them, to help them understand the crisis that we have in our country today. We are working to raise awareness about mental health in schools, and we want to equip teachers and parents with the strategies and the tools they need to support these young people, or to direct them to professionals who can help them. Teaching for Success develops training programs for teachers to help them recognize the signs of mental illness and provide initial support for students. We also organize workshops for parents to educate them about mental health in order to reduce the stigma that's surrounding them. But it's not just about identifying the problem. It's about knowing which professionals to reach out to, because teachers are not doctors. They can't give a diagnosis. It's not their place to do so. They're not trained to do so. In many cases, students need more than just a listening ear. They need access to counselors, therapists, or psychologists who can provide professional help. The reality is, some students will attempt to or go through suicide, but if we can act early, we can prevent many of these tragedies. It's about being proactive and not being reactive when something disastrous has happened. We need to be aware of what is going on in our children's lives. We need to allow our children to be able to speak up and speak about their emotions and speak about their anxieties and speak up if they're depressed or feeling depressed, in order to prevent tragedies from happening. We need to be better aware, and we need to put support systems in place to support our children. This could be life-saving for many. This is why it's so important to create safe spaces for young people to express their feelings. Schools need to implement mental health programs, and parents need to have open conversations with their children, as well as teachers. Teachers also need to have open conversations with their students. There has to be at least one teacher in a school who a student feels that they can go to and open up and pour their hearts out, so that a teacher can identify what they're going through and seek professional help for these children. We also need to advocate for more mental health professionals in schools and in our communities. If you found this episode informative, please subscribe to our channel to access more episodes on education and how we can support our students as they grow into young adults. Together, we can help them become contributing members of society. I hope you learned a lot from this episode. Remember, mental health is not something to ignore. It's a conversation we need to have openly and compassionately, with understanding and empathy. Let's support our young people before it's too late. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week for more insights on this critical topic and other topics. Take care, and let's keep our children safe.